So this is Katie Hunter from MMA UK, and I'm here with Danny Henry, who's already tried to do a Facebook Live with me, which was a complete disaster. Then I couldn't add him on Skype, so I'm so grateful to you for talking to me, Danny.
No worries. Thanks for having me on.
So we were just talking about what a crazy roller coaster of emotions you must have been on. Supposed to be fighting on UFC Lincoln on the 25th of April. Obviously, that fight was not going to happen in Lincoln because of the whole coronavirus thing. Then we were hearing about this Indian reservation in California that some of the fights were going to be on. And then there was talk of international fighters who didn't have a visa for the US fighting on an island. So tell me what life has been like for you the last few weeks.
The last 3 weeks have it's just been constantly up and down. One day I'm reading different stuff. I knew about a week ago I was touch base with a visa team, the UFC visa team, and they told me that that I wasn't going to get a visa. The consulates aren't open. The travel ban's probably going to get extended, and they'd let the matchmakers know this. So I pretty much ruled the fight out on, I think it was Saturday just past, and then Sunday, somebody tagged me in something that Dana White's saying he's bought an island and international fights are going to be on this island. So it was like straight back to the gym. It's like, and during this whole sort of 3 weeks uncertainty, there's been no communication from the UFC whatsoever to let us know what's going on, we stand in terms of fights or nothing. So it's been all over the place. I don't really know what more to say about it. I've just been training away and trying to stay ready.
What went through your mind when you were reading about this island that Dana White had bought?
Do you know what? It was exciting a little bit, to be honest with you. Like
Yeah.
it just seemed a bit different. Not a lot of people will get the opportunity to do something like that. So I was like, do you know what? If they offer me it on that island, I'm up for it. I'm going. But at the same time, like there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. There's a lot of people dying this disease, and that's in the back of my mind too. So it's a tough one, really.
Were you nervous from a safety standpoint about like going away to? We don't even know where this island is, so agreeing to fight at some unknown location.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, because every time you leave the house, you sort of leave yourself open to getting this virus. I wasn't so fussed about going there. Like, I was easy about going there. I'm sure the UFC had pull out all the stops in terms of the testing and making sure everything's safe. It'd be coming back. Like, you're still going to be, whether it's you using private jets or whatever, you're going to airports, you'll be touching stuff other people are touching, and it'd be pretty easy to bring that stuff home. So I don't want to risk. I've got a young family, young
Yeah.
son, and my girlfriend and stuff. We're taking all the precautions at the moment, so we'd be risking all that with me coming back. That was my only real concern.
Would you have had anywhere to self-isolate when you came back? Because obviously you must live with them.
Yeah, I'm sure I would have sorted something out. I've got a friend. He's got a flat around the corner from me, and it's an Airbnb. So obviously it's not getting booked at the moment. I'm sure if I touch base with him, he would lend me that to self isolate if need be. But hopefully, I'd imagine we'd get tested again before we left or
Yeah.
when we got home or whatever, and to make sure it was all safe to go back. Like they can't just expect us to, all right, that's a fight done, and then leave us to our own devices,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
And you said, like, when you read that and you thought the fight was back on, you were straight back in the gym. Were you
Mhm.
physically back in your gym, or did you just mean in terms of training?
Just in terms of training, I'm quite fortunate. A friend of mine, so I train in Bathgate, but I live in Edinburgh, so it's like I think it's about 32 miles or something from here, and obviously I can't drive because it's not a necessity. But fortunately, one of my friends has got a Thai boxing gym in the city, and I've
Yeah.
got keys to his gym, so it's isolated. Essentially, I'm still isolated. Nobody else is using the gym, but I can go in there and work bags, and he's got a rowing machine and everything in there. So I had all the tools I needed to stay fit. It's just tough to motivate yourself when you're, chipping away yourself and you don't even know if a fight's going to happen. It's tough.
Yeah. And were you worried at all without sparring, in the last few weeks before the fight that like it might take longer to find your range in there or distance or, just like I think it's if you're motivated enough, you can stay fit. But I wondered if you just felt like a bit nervous about not doing sparring before a massive fight. Like every fight in the UFC is a huge fight for your career.
Yeah, to a certain extent, like I was like, do you know what? If it was gonna go ahead on the 25th, I'd probably be fine. Like I was
Yeah,
sparring pretty well. 2 weeks ago, I think my last rounds were 2 weeks ago. I was doing 5-5s and I was feeling pretty fit and starting to feel pretty sharp. So if the fight was taking place on the 25th, like it was scheduled, I'd be pretty confident. But if they come back to me now and say, oh, you're not going to be fighting until June, and we're not going to have any contact now between now and June, it's going to be pretty weird.
yeah,
All your time and a lot of guys take confidence from sparring. I know when I'm
yeah,
leading up to a fight, if I'm having my better rounds, that's where I take a lot of my confidence from. But I don't know. At the end of the day, we we need to make a living too. So if
yeah.
those conditions are put on us, we'll just need to grin and bear it. And I suppose the only comfort I can take from it is my opponents will be in the same boat. So
Yeah, anyone taking self isolation seriously will be in the same boat. I just wonder, like, I mean, it could be that when we see people, the first people back fighting, it could be that they're all got less injuries and they're not overtrained and it's an amazing fight card, or it could be that everybody's just a little bit ring rusty and just not quite got their range.
yeah, either that they've not been punched in the face for a couple of months, and they'll be a little
Yeah.
a little tentative when they go in there, until they take a couple, and then they'll be good to go.
And what about the fact that USADA can't come and visit anyone at the moment? Obviously, I'm not speaking about the opponent that you were going to face or anyone in particular. Just
Come on,
there will be
who are you
people.
talking about? You're talking about somebody.
There's got to be people out there, if they want to do it. Now must be a good time for them to know that USADA won't come knocking.
I know, but I don't know. I'm not educated enough to know on the subject enough to know how long it stays in your system. I couldn't tell you, so it's not a risk I'd be willing to take. It's a career ender for a lot of guys. These bans are no joke. You get 2 years or something. I'm 31 now. If I was to get banned for 2 years, I'd pretty much be hanging up the gloves, But I
Yeah.
don't know. There's still people risking it. I suppose there's still people getting
Well,
popped. So
yeah, I think TJ's due back in January, so that's flown by.
is it? Is it
Yeah, I
January?
think
Is it?
so.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But then he'll come back. He might do what Mendes done, come back, realize he can't use it, doesn't feel as good as he did, and retire. It's. I think once you've, I don't know. I'm not talking from experience, but I suppose when you're used to training and competing with those advantages, when you pull them away, when you take them away, and you realize you can't use those advantages anymore, I think it's even harder on them to come back.
Yeah, I'm
So
I'm hoping that everybody just refuses to fight him.
who, TJ?
Yeah, and he just doesn't
Yeah.
have an opponent.
Then he opened his clean juice shop, which is some laugh. But
I know, but
yeah,
I just feel like he's not taking the whole thing seriously. Even the fact that he can make a joke about it, it's not really funny.
yeah, it's daft. It's daft. I don't. It's a shame because he's talented enough as it is, but
Yeah,
you know, and I don't believe for one second that that's the only time he's ever done it either. I think
no,
it's been something he's been doing his whole career, and
yeah,
it's a shame. Like he's derailed good guys that have probably been clean and changed the
yeah.
path of their careers by cheating essentially, and it's
Well,
just
I don't
it is
think
what it is.
Henan Barrow was ever the same after their first fight.
The
He's
whole
he's
team,
just a totally different fighter.
the whole well, saying that I don't think his team were totally innocent
White at
on
the
the
fight
whole
now.
dope in front either. To be honest with you, I think the whole
Yeah,
of Brazil took a bit of a hit when USADA came in properly. The Nova and the whole Nova and Yao camp felt a bits when USADA came in. So
yeah. I don't feel like, I mean, I could be being naive, but I just don't feel like the juicing thing is big over here. I rarely hear rumours about any gyms here.
I don't think it's as readily available here as it is in the States. Like
Right.
the US is, it's pretty big pharma, and you know, they've got all those companies and stuff over there. Like medication's a big thing. It's a massive industry over there. So I think there's probably more stuff available over the counter, and the doctors, because it essentially you're using private doctors and stuff, you're paying them. They'll write you prescriptions or whatever if you're paying
Yeah.
them enough. Whereas I couldn't just go down to my GP and say, right, I need you need to get me this much testosterone because I'm fighting in 8 weeks. Here's a few quid. It doesn't work like that here.
You'd be waiting a month for an appointment as well.
Yeah, yeah. They tell me to go home and ice it and then come back in another month.
So tell me what's next for you now. Like, do you take that as a sign that you're definitely not fighting at the end of April? Or is it still in your mind that there could be another twist or turn in this story?
Nah, I think that's a final nail in the coffin now for April anyway. Dana White's still talking about the island. Apparently, that's going to be a goer because the visa stuff's. I think that's going to run for a while. The states have
Yeah.
got it's the travel ban. I think it's going to be extended another month or so anyway. So, I seen another thing this morning. He's talking about he's putting infrastructure on this island as we speak. So, it might be the case that 3-4 weeks down the line, I get the call. Right, the island's ready. Like fancy going out, but
And what do you
I don't
say
know.
then?
I have to say yes. I need to earn a living, you know, um, and hopefully I keep the matchup that I had lined up because I like the look of the opponent. I think we put on a good show, and I've been training specifically for him now for 5 or 6 weeks. So I want to
Yeah.
put all that to use. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen. There's also a backlog of fights now as well because
Yeah.
they postponed the 3 events before 249. Add 249 on. There's how many fights is that? Say there's 50 fights now being postponed, and then Lincoln on top of that. There's 60, 70 fights that they've had matched that they've had to postpone. So they'll maybe be a waiting list.
And are you the sort of fighter that would take any change of opponent, or would your coach let you? Or, have you got to be more sensible about the fact that, especially if you're not getting to drill with anyone about
Mm,
people's specific styles, when you've got a certain opponent and they're known for a certain style, and your coach will put you in certain positions that might come up during the fight. Obviously, there'd be none of that.
yeah, it's tough. It's real tough. Yeah, it's going. But again, everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah.
Um, I'll pose certain problems for certain opponents too, and they won't be able to replicate those scenarios either. So, it's I don't know. I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of fights in the US. I think a lot of the US fight, it's just going to be pretty much the US only, from
Yeah.
what I understand. Maybe some of the Canadians will get across the border. I'm not sure. I think they've maybe got a handful of Mexican fighters they can maybe use too. But as far as I'm aware, Brazil's um, been stopped. All the travel between the States and Brazil and South America has been stopped. So it sounds like, from what I heard this morning, they're going ahead with that venue, the Palace Casino place. Can't remember what it was. Is it Tachi
Yeah, I'm not
Palace
sure
Casino?
exactly how you pronounce it, but yeah, tattoo, I think, yeah.
I think they're going to run ahead with that when it does go again.
Right.
And I think if the travel bans and stuff are still in place, then you'll see a lot of American sort of themed cards. And then
Yeah.
when the island's finally ready, it'll be internationals v internationals. It'll be anybody they can fly to the island. I don't think they'll use Americans on the island. But I don't know. That's just speculation from me. It's just
Yeah.
who
Because
knows.
it sounds like it was ESPN that pulled the plug rather than kind of any authority in the area or in the
Yeah,
States.
again, I've been flat out reading everything that I can in relation to
Yeah.
this, just to try and give myself an insight of what's going on. There was a article out saying that the UFC had to produce 42 events to get their payout from ESPN/Disney. So that's why Dana's been so driven to get the cards going again. And then I don't know, maybe ESPN don't want to be linked to sporting events at the moment, and
Yeah.
the blame kind of on their doorstep. So they've intervened and said to Denny, you need to stop the events. Whether the UFC will still get paid, I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? I just hope some of the fighters will end up getting paid a little bit too. Like, we've still sacrificed the last 6 weeks. All the guys that were postponed the 3 shows before,
Yeah.
249. I hope that there's a little bit of compensation in the pipeline for us that have been sacrificing, but I
Yeah.
won't hold my breath.
Yeah. It's yeah, like you say, it's not something you can bank on, is it? Because I know that the people on the UFC London card that was, cancelled with less than a week until the fight only got compensation as well. So that's obviously not, the clear message that Scott Coker gave was that everyone got their show and win money.
Show and win money for
Yeah, I
Bellator, was
believe
it?
so. Yeah.
Jackpot.
Yeah. But yeah, really, really tough as well from a financial situation, because the last time we saw you fight was at UFC London 2019. So over a year out of the octagon. You had a fight scheduled for September, didn't you? What was?
Yeah, I was supposed to fight in Copenhagen.
Yeah,
I was supposed to fight in Copenhagen. I got a neck injury.
that was the week of the fight, wasn't it? Or was it
The
just?
injury?
Yeah.
It was so I hurt it earlier. I basically sprained my neck, and then I tried to keep going and going and going, and then I trained for another 2 weeks after initially hurting it, because I'd literally signed the contract, and then on the Wednesday, and then on the Friday I sprained my neck. And I was just like, this is just brutal. So I was just like, no way, nah, I'm not pulling out. So I put my head down, hammering the ibuprofen, hammering the painkillers, and just getting through the sessions. And then about 2 or 3 weeks after, it was like one step back forward, 2 steps back. Every time I was training, my neck was killing me. I was struggling to sleep. And then I sparred again 2-3 weeks after, and I jerked it again, and it was like I was like a thunderbird for about 2 weeks. I couldn't turn my head or nothing. I had to move my shoulders to turn my head, and I was just like, I can't keep going with this. So I just pulled the plug. I was just like, I'm not going to be able to present the best version of myself. And after my loss last year in March, I didn't want to go in there anything less than 100%. So
Yeah.
it was tough, but it's the first fight I've ever pulled out of my life.
It's really hard as well in the UFC when you know that those opportunities aren't going to come around very often, and it could be another 6 months before you're offered another fight. But also, like you say, the repercussions of going in there not fit, and particularly coming off a loss, can be major. So it's a really tough situation. I really feel for everyone that happens to. So, yeah. So we were hoping to see you back in there in April. Who knows when we're going to see you in there next? But we'll be really excited whenever it is. I know that life in lockdown's strange for everyone at the moment. I'm glad you're getting to train, and I saw you putting some grass on your balcony the other day.
Yeah. It's about as exciting as it's been recently.
Are you getting up to anything else?
I've just been like wandering about the flat, finding DIY stuff to do, and other than that, just spending a bit more time with my son, my partner. Every cloud's got a silver lining, so getting plenty of sleep and spending time with my son's been good.
Yeah.
Been nice.
Well, thank you so much for bearing with me with all the tech issues today. You're a star.
No worries.
I just really hope for you that you get to fight soon, but that it's in a safe environment when you've been able to train properly.
Yeah, me too.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, Danny.
Thanks.
Take care.
Thanks for having me on. Cheers. Cheerio.